I would like you to share a little bit on a term paper that I promised you that I'm going to give you the assignment concerning the term paper. So let me open up first, then I can share with you. Is it visible? Can you see the document?
Yes, doctor.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So this will be our a term paper assignment that is going to carry the weight of 20 marks in our continuous assessment. As you can remember, we did the progressive test that also carried the 20 marks, and then in the term paper also we'll have 20 marks, and then the remaining 10 marks will have a group assignment. But this term paper, it's an individual assignment. Then the remaining 10 marks will be a group assignment that is going to be shared with you, with my fellow, who is going to take over from next week for the remaining 2 topics. Because today I'm expecting to finish up with the remaining part for the 3rd topic. Then and it will be my last day having you in these sections. And my fellow will take over from next week for the remaining 2 topics. That means topic number 4 and the 5th topics. So concerning the term paper, we have some general instructions concerning the term paper. But the most important, I would like this paper to be submitted through the email address as shown in the instructions. And the deadline for submissions will be 19th June 2026. That means 3 weeks to come from today. What is the assignment is all about? The assignment, as I shared with you last week, is about exploiting entrepreneurial opportunity in Tanzania through innovative business model. That is, you need to identify a business opportunity within the Tanzanian context and develops an innovative entrepreneurial venture model for exploiting that opportunities. That means the selected opportunity should address a really socio-economic or market challenge facing our country, as well as it should demonstrate innovations, suitability, and business viabilities. In such a ways, you are much more encouraged to focus on sectors which are relevant to Tanzania, such as agribusiness and food processing, clean cooking energy and renewable energy, informal sector innovations, tourism and cultural enterprises, mobile money and digital services, transportations and logistics, waste management and recycling, fisheries and agro economy, livestock and poultry business, affordable housing and construction services, education and skills development, health service delivery, creative industries and entertainment, fashions and the textile industries, youth and women entrepreneurships, community-based enterprises, rural entrepreneurships, small-scale manufacturing, e-commerce and digital marketing. But still, you are not prohibited to have anything outside of these areas or of these sectors that have been mentioned here. I think this sector almost covered every sector that we have in our country. But if you have anything that's a little bit different to this, you're also allowed, and that's what we call as innovations on your sites. Specific area to address our term paper. The first part is going to be an introductions. Introductions here, you need to give a brief overview of the selected business opportunities, the industry, the sector that you have selected, existing market opportunity or unmet needs that's available, and why the opportunity is relevant in Tanzanian context. That's what. Also, the second part, it should have opportunity identifications and exploitations. In these sites, you need to discuss how opportunity was identified, how or will it be identified, the factor behind creating such opportunities, the market demand and the customer problems, potential customer and the target market within such opportunities, existing competitors and the market gaps, how innovations can be used to exploit the opportunity itself, as well as students should integrate relevant entrepreneurial concepts and the theories within these areas. The third part will be about environmental and industrial analysis. Most of you guys, those who passed through, who have taken some courses on marketing as well as on strategic management, you are familiar with these tools that I'm reading here now. That means you need to conduct analysis on the business environment using relevant analytical tools such as SWOT analysis, pest analysis, Porter's 5 forces, and the market trend analysis. And most of you guys are aware about this. Even if you're not aware, there are some textbook or there are some references you can refer on what we mean by these environmental analysis tools. So the fourth part or the D part will be about business model canvas, BMC. That means you need to develop a business model canvas for the proposed venture by explaining the following component within the business model canvas: that market segment, value propositions, the channels, customer relations, revenue streams, key resources, the key activities, key partnerships, as well as the cost structure. That will be a business model canvas, which always comprises of nine elements. So yeah, you're much more encouraged to provide a diagram or a table illustrating the business model canvas. And at the D part, you need also to cover on the challenges in exploiting those opportunities. You need to analyze the possible challenge that may affect the venture, such as access to finance, technology limitations, infrastructure, government regulations, consumer behavior, competitions, skills, and managerial capabilities. And the last thing, you need also to talk a little bit on sustainability and the growth strategies. Under here, we need to discuss the strategies for ensuring business sustainability, how the business will be sustainable in the future or for a long run, the competitive advantage that it has compared to existing kind of business that we have in our countries, the innovations and the scalability aspect, the social and environmental impact, as well as long-term growth of such a business as part of the sustainability and the growth strategies. In the last, you need to give conclusions and the recommendations. You need to summarize the major findings and provide recommendations for entrepreneurs, government, financial institutions, business support organizations, as well as education institutions. So I propose the report structures. You are not much more binded on this. You can come with your own, but we're expecting that your work will have the cover page, executive summary, the introductions part, the main analysis, the business model canvas, conclusions and recommendations, references and appendices. That means most of those part we have discussed from A to F will be under the main analysis, as well as the business model canvas, as well as the last one will be on the part of conclusion recommendations. You need to provide some references and appendices, any supporting documents that you have. Maybe if you have some data from the industry, whichever the case, you can provide as part of the appendices. And the assessment criteria is as follows: that understandings of entrepreneurial opportunity concept on the part of the concept, which will carry 15%. Application of the Tanzania context will have 20%. The quality of the business opportunity analysis, how did you analyze the business opportunity, will have 15%. Integration of the business model canvas within your work will have 20%. The critical thinking or originality of your work will have 15%. Organizational presentations and references also will have 15%. So this is all about the term paper that I promised on you guys that I'm going to share the term paper. I'm sorry a little bit. I had a lot of engagement over the week, but I managed to share with you these 10 papers. And if there's any questions from you guys, anyone who didn't understand what you're supposed to do, you can
Sorry,
ask.
sir.
Yes.
Yes. It is well understood.
Yes.
My concern is on the area of focus.
Yes.
Are we supposed to choose only one area?
Yes, just one area, not all. One area among those areas.
Thank you.
So just concentrate on one area.
Excuse me, sir. This is a group work or individual?
Yes?
It's a group work or individual?
It's an individual work, not a group work. Yes, and it's an individual work.
How many pages, sir?
It's within the guidelines here that your work, the recommended length is 10 to 15 page, excluding appendices and references. The guidelines, the general instruction number 9.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anyone?
Excuse me.
Excuse me, doctor.
Yes, you're welcome.
Sorry, you mentioned so many sectors pertaining to the question. So I just want to know, are we attempting across all sectors that has been mentioned, or we just pick one out of it?
Here, you are encouraged to focus on sectors relevant to Tanzania, such as you need to select one of the sector among these. Of course, to some extent, some sector also can depends on each other. You can find maybe two sector depends on each other, but you're not guided to cover all the sectors. So you can come with one sector or two sector or three sector among those if they depends on each other. If the knowledge is always integrating on one sector to another sectors, but basically you cannot cover the whole almost 20 sectors here. Just one sector among these, which is really relevant in Tanzanian context, not those from developed countries.
Excuse me, doctor.
Yes, welcome.
Are we supposed to come with a new opportunity scene? Yani it's like a new business from among those sectors you have given us, or we can give a reference of ongoing business among the sectors which you have given us, which is active.
Well, so what we are the assignment is all about exploiting the opportunities. That means we have opportunities in our environment or in the Tanzanian context. And those opportunities, there are some business which are already there, operating, exploiting those kind of opportunities. So what you're coming with is something unique, something with an innovations, something that's an improvement of what is existing in the market. Maybe we have business that's already exploiting such opportunities, but there are some problems, there are some pains, there are some complaints from the customer sides. That means the customer not satisfied with the product that's available, or customer not satisfied with the service that is being offered. So you can come with something that's innovative or an improvement or challenging what there existing in the market. It's not something new. You know, in this way, nothing new. Everything has been discovered. So what we are doing is just to improve existing things, to comes with the modifications of existing things in the lights. Thank you. Anyone?
Excuse me, doctor.
Yes.
On the analysis part, are we supposed to use all the models? Like, are we supposed to use SWOT, Presto, or we can pick one?
The one relevant to the idea that you came with.
No, okay. Thank you.
Yes. Nasoro?
Samahani dokta, sijaelewa, mimi ndo nimeingia sasa hivi hapa, hata sielewi, naona
Pole sana.
discussion tu.
Pole sana. So I think you can refer to my fellows. It is just a class assignment, the 10-paper assignment that I promised to give you guys. So you can pass through the documents. Kama hujaelewa, you can consult your CLRs as well as your fellows can give you more clarification on that. Thank you.
Oh.
Well, that's all. So let's go back to the class sessions for today. I'll share the notes and then we'll start our discussions.
Sorry, doctor.
Yes.
It is Word or in PDF submission?
Submissions, I would prefer in PDF format because I have to open it. Sometimes Word it differs in terms of versions or whatever. So you can open your Word document, or also the arrangement can shift it to one part to another. So if you have a PDF document, that should be very easy for me to open it and pass through it as part of marking. Well, thank you.
So it's a group assignment, right?
It's an individual assignment. This is an individual assignment, not a group assignment. Group assignment is it will be the ones that the next facilitator will take over from next week. We'll share with you the group assignment.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Okay, guys, so welcome back to our class sessions. Today, we are continuing with our discussions on these 30 topics about business opportunities and the likes. So today, we're going to discuss on last week, our discussions, had a discussions last week that we ended on exploiting various business opportunity that I shared the business opportunity that's available. And some guys asked most of these examples that I shared with you guys were much more based on developed countries or those countries which are a little bit high in terms of tech and development in general. So that's why also, and I promised you that our class assignment will be based on that. This part, and specifically, is going to be based on the Tanzanian context. Well, so apart from discussing those various opportunity that's available in the globe in general, today we are continuing with our discussions on the impact of entrepreneurial economic development, innovations, and the firm competitiveness. So the first part that we're going to discuss here is the impact of entrepreneurs on economic development. How these entrepreneurs participate or contribute to economic development of the country and the area in general. So we know that economic development is just a process of improving the economic well-beings and the quality of lives for a community or a country. And there is a big difference between economic development and yes, can someone? So there's a big difference between economic development and economic growth. Because when we talk about economic development, we mean those improvement of economic well-beings and the quality of lives for a community or a country. While on the part of economic growth, we base in those economic parameters that's mostly are used to measure the economic development. We base on those GDP, income level, per capita incomes, and the likes and the likes and the likes. But on the part of economic development, we base on how well-beings, the quality of life for a community has been improved in economic aspect. So economic development always comprises of an increased economic growth, part of economic development, reducing poverty and unemployment, as well as improving access to education, healthcare, and other basic needs. And we know that entrepreneurs are the foundations of competitions and innovations among the firms. So are these people as well as on the part of economic development? That means these entrepreneurs always play a big roles in economic development in general. So according to Mubashir's Al-Jazz 2023, entrepreneurs plays a pivotal role in economic development. One, by identifying and pursuing new market opportunity, which can lead to innovations, increase the productivity and economic growth. And we know that one of the main players in part of the identifying opportunities are these entrepreneurs. So through their works or through their innovative activities and whatever, they are much more engaged in identifying as well as exploiting those market opportunities, which leads always to innovations, increased productivity, as well as economic growth. That's what. The second ones, they always attracting foreign investment, promoting industrializations and improving infrastructure. So these people also attract foreign investment in terms of FDIs, foreign direct investment, through various foreigners coming to invest in our country as part of entrepreneurs, as well as part of partnerships with the local entrepreneurs and the likes. But also they are promoting industrializations by opening various industries, especially in some those areas which are less developed in the likes, as well as improving infrastructure in general. So you can see in areas or a place where there's a lot of entrepreneurial activities, the infrastructure is improved in terms of loads, in terms of communications, in terms of social service like power and the likes in general. So the third one is entrepreneurs stimulate competitions, which in turn contribute to a more productive and efficient economy. We know that entrepreneurs, where there's an entrepreneurs competing each other, and that's also is a big advantage to customer because they can get quality goods with a good with a favorable standards that can fulfill their needs and the wants. And these people always stimulate competitions, competing to each other. Everyone comes with an idea on how to improve, so that in such a way that to surpass or to bypass his or her counterpart competitors in general. So the fourth ones, entrepreneurs can lead to a development of new product and service, as well as growth of existing businesses. And we know that all products that we have are the result of entrepreneurial activities. So these people play big roles in development of new product and the service and the likes. And according to Alexander Christokas, revealed that entrepreneur boosts economic growth by introducing innovative technology, product, and the service. This part also supports the previous point that we have discussed on their roles in development of new product and the services. As well as entrepreneurs increase the competitions for entrepreneur challenging existing firms to become more competitive. So entrepreneur providing new job opportunity in that short and long-term perspectives. And we know that we have problems in our country. Kwa sababu sasa hivi kidogo kuna changamoto ya ajira. And based on that, these people always are the ones who provide the job opportunity. And this also can be proved that kuna study ambazo zimefanyika kwamba the government cannot employ more than 10% of the populations. Kama tukiangalia kwa Tanzania, we are almost 60 millions. If we are 60 millions, that means our government cannot employ more than 10% in order to remain sustainable and competitive in the market. 10% of 60 millions, we are talking about 6 millions. 6 million out of 60. That means we have 52 million people with no jobs. So how do they get jobs? How do they satisfy their basic needs? Only private sector through entrepreneurs can take a roles in creating those job opportunities for short terms as well as the long terms and the likes. Worse. Another point, entrepreneur actively raises the productivity of the firms and economies. They are much more raising the productivity. Wana mchango mkubwa sana katika uzalishaji na ukuaji wa uchumi kwa ujumla. Because when productivity increases, that also the government earnings also increases through taxations and the likes. So another point, entrepreneurs accelerate structural change by replacing established or scholastic firms. So hawa watu wamekuwa na mchango mkubwa sana kwa sababu wanaleta mabadiliko. They bring changes, wanasababisha ambao tunaita ni structural change. Wana replace existing ways of doing things. Wana replace existing firms that cannot adopt changes and the likes. And the other point also, entrepreneurs helps in solving the problems of monopoly and the balanced regional development. Monopoly, tunaangalia kwamba some sectors ambazo zina monopolize the market, that we have only single sectors in the market doing business in whichever the case. Na tuna some sector in Tanzania, right? Sector ipi ambayo imebaki kuwa monopoly? Which sector that we have in our country?
Electricity,
TANESCO.
TANESCO.
Oh, TANESCO. Okay, TANESCO, of course, yes. Na tunaangalia changamoto zake kwa kuwa monopoly. Umeme unakatika, you have no options. Lakini ukiangalia sekta nyingi ambazo zimeruhusu private investment, tunaweza kuangalia improvement ya product or service to the high level. In such a ways, imeweza kusolve the problems of monopoly as well as balanced regional development of one part to another. Unakuta maeneo hayapishani sana katika level ya maendeleo, hasa katika miji mikubwa au mijini. Ukiangalia one towns to another towns, the level of development is not too big. The difference is not too big. Kwamba kuna a little bit balanced regional development due to existing of these entrepreneurs and the likes. So the other point, you can also talk that it helps in increasing the per capita incomes and hence the life styles. Capital incomes tunaangalia pato la mtu mmoja mmoja. Kutokana na ongezeko la wajasiriamali, watu wameweza kujiajiri, wameweza kufanya shughuli zao, walioajiriwa pia wanalipwa mishahara kwa wakati, na tukiangalia kwa ujumla kwamba kila mtu anaweza kuwa na kipato ambacho kinaweza kukidhi mahitaji yake ya muhimu, those basic needs, as well as lifestyle of the community in general. The other point, entrepreneur also helps in high individual savings and hence more purchasing power. Kutokana na uwepo wa wajasiriamali ambao one of their responsibilities to mobilize the idle resources, to make use the idle resources in order to play a part in capital formations. Kwa play part kama part ya capital formations, wana save as part of savings, wanaongeza purchasing power. Ule uwezo wa kununua unaongezeka. Watu wanaweza kuwa na fedha wakaweza kununua mahitaji yao and the likes. And the other point is to provide more revenue to government in the form of income tax, sales tax, export duties and import duties. Na tunaelewa kabisa serikali pia inategemea zaidi kukusanya mapato yake ya kodi kupitia shughuli mbalimbali za ujasiriamali. Na watu wamekuwa na mchango mkubwa sana katika maendeleo ya nchi yoyote ile, ambao kuna mfumo mzuri wa ulipaji kodi, kwamba serikali inaweza kukusanya kodi kwa wakati in terms of income tax, in terms of sales tax, export duties as well as import duties. And the last ones, it guides the direction of national economies, industry and the market. Wana mchango mkubwa sana katika kuguide directions kwamba tunakwenda wapi. Na ukiangalia hata ile dira ya taifa ya 250s, mchango wa jasiriamali kumle ndani umeelezwa sana katika sekta mbalimbali au katika nyanja mbalimbali, kwamba jinsi gani tunaweza kufika kule. Tunategemea zaidi pia private sector. Tunategemea what we call PPP, public private partnerships. And whenever we talk about PPP, public private partnerships, hatuwezi kusahau mchango wa jasiriamali ili taifa liweze kufikia ile malengo ambayo limekusudia. Well, so the next part, how entrepreneurs promote innovations in the firms. Tunaangalia kwamba mchango wao, hao watu wana promote vipi innovations kwenye taasisi zetu, kwenye firms, kwenye kampuni au kwenye taasisi kwa ujumla. So we talk about on the impact of entrepreneurs on economic development, innovations and the firm competitiveness. Tumecover part ya kwanza on the impact of entrepreneurs on economic development. Tunaenda part ya pili, impact of entrepreneurs on innovations specifically tukiangalia innovation on the part of the firms. So one is that these people promote innovation in the firms by exploring 15% time model. Kuna hii model ambayo inaitwa 15% time model. Isana model ambayo imekuwepo kwa miaka mingi na baadhi ya makampuni makubwa yanaitumia. So the model, it's like a policy which allow entrepreneur to spend 15% of his or her paid work times daydreamings, drawings or experimenting with the idea that didn't necessarily have to do with their work. Na ukifuatilia sana hii model unaweza kuona kwamba taasisi ambazo zina play part au taasisi ambazo zinafuatilia this kind of model wanaweza kuwa na ruhusu wafanyakazi wao, kwamba mfanyakazi anaruhusiwa kutumia 15% ya muda wake wa kazi. Kama ukiangalia taasisi za umma, watu wanafanya kazi masaa mangapi kwa wiki? Public organizations, how many people work per week?
8 hours.
8 hours per day.
8 hours.
And then when we talk about 15% ya 8 hours per day, how many hours? %15 of 8 hours per day.
Six, sir.
Yes?
6.
6.
1 hour.
Is that
Almost
a week?
2 hours.
You said 15% of 40.
That is 4 hours per day.
Almost 2 hours.
20 hours per week.
It's 1.2.
20 hours per week. 20 hours per week?
Per day is
Friends.
1.2.
40 hours per week.
1.2
40 hours.
Yeah.
1 hour and 20 minutes. Yes.
1 hour and 20 minutes. Okay. 1 hour and 20 minutes. So ukiangalia
1 hour and 20 minutes per day.
Yes, ukiangalia hii model ya innovations, it's an innovation model. Hii model ya innovations kwamba unakuta taasisi inatakiwa iruhusu wafanyakazi wake watumie 15% ya muda wao wa kazi kufanya shughuli nyingine ambazo hazihusiani na kazi, especially kufikiria vitu mbalimbali, especially on the part of innovations, jinsi gani wataweza kuboresha shughuli zao za kila siku na whatever, not those routine jobs or routine work ambazo wanakuwa wanazifanya kila siku. So this model inafanya kazi kwamba ukiangalia one of the biggest company in the world, tuna hii inaitwa 3Ms. 3Ms wametumia sana hii approach, especially ukiangalia kwenye kampuni kama Google na whatever wanatumia sana hizi. Japokuwa Google wenyewe wamebadilisha, wanaita ni 20% time policy. So the main assumptions ni kwamba innovations always emerge from autonomous exploitations rather than a strictly controlled task. Kwamba innovations always emerge from autonomous exploitations. Kwamba mtu anatakiwa awe huru kuweza kuexploit vitu tofauti tofauti kuliko kuwa katika controlled task ambazo zina guidelines, ambazo zina policy, ambazo zina restrictions and the likes. So instead of allocating 100% of employee times to predetermined organization objective and the goals, that means firms always reserve a fraction of times for curiosity and driven works. So these people are allowed to use that 15% of their times kufanya curiosity, kujitafakari, kuhoji, why are we doing this and so forth. Na hiyo inasaidia zaidi watu kuja na some innovative ideas and the likes. So tukianza kuangalia kwamba ni theory ambayo mara nyingi imekuwa drawn from the various innovation theory, moja wapo ikiwa ni intrinsic innovation theories as well as explorations and exploitation theories and the likes. So this is what kwamba wajasiriamali wanaweza kupromote innovations katika firms kama wakiweza kuapply, especially employing this 15% time model. So the second ones, by embracing and reward experiment even failures. So beyond just giving time to experiment, entrepreneurial managers should also embrace and reward innovative habit. Lazima waweze kuembrace as well as reward. Kwa mtu ambaye anakuja na kitu hata kama kimfails, lazima umtie moyo na kumtia nguvu kwamba alichokifanya sio kazi bure. So kuna ile hali unakuta baadhi ya taasisi watu wanakatishana tamaa, mtu amefanya kitu lakini maybe kimefails, it didn't succeed, people talking bad about the persons, talking bad things. So hizo vitu mara nyingi zinakuwa zinamwondolea mtu hali ya kuendelea kuwa innovative au kuwa na ile hali ya kufanya kazi au kuleta vitu vipya katika taasisi. So by embracing this and reward experiment, even if it's a failures, also these entrepreneurs, especially those entrepreneurial manager, can also apply this kind of approach or this kind of a strategy in their firms in order to promote innovations. So the third one is by investing on research. Na hii ni changamoto kubwa sana katika nchi zetu. Tukiangalia taasisi nyingi unakuta wana hicho kitengo hata kwenye budget. Kuna some funds for research and development. But when you ask leaders, which research did they conduct? It's nothing. It's there just theoretically, but in reality, no research, no development activities ambazo zimefanyika. So on those, especially in developed countries, most of their budget wanatenga sana kwenye upati wa utafiti, kuweza kufanya research. So we know that research is always brings new informations in the firms, which when properly worked on, they may build interest and the passions for innovation and research. Kwa sababu hata hizo innovation unazozifanya, you cannot come with innovations without research. Lazima uwe na research kwanza, then from the research unaweza kujua kwamba where are the gaps, where are the problems, and whichever the case. From those problems, which of those gaps, it's where we can come with those innovative ideas, and then work upon it in order to implement or to develop those innovative ideas into tangible things and the likes. So by investing on research is another ways that this entrepreneur also can enhance innovations within the firms. So the fourth ones, they need also to share ideas to innovations forums. So by sharing innovative ideas to employees or innovation forums, your idea gets molded for the better and encourage new learners to add on it and hence promoting the innovation staffs. So we need to have that culture of speaking out. You have some things, kuna some forums, kuna some conferences, kuna some gatherings, whichever the case, you need to attend and try to share your ideas. Whenever you're sharing your ideas, you get some recommendations. Kuna recommendations unazozipata, kuna nyingine ambazo ni constructive recommendations. Although kuna destructive recommendation unazozipata pia za kurudisha chini, za kukatisha tamaa na whatever, but you need to take all of them positively, work on them. As you work on them, you improve your ideas. As you improve your ideas, that idea will reach a stage that imefikia kwenye stage ambayo sasa inaweza kuwa ni kitu ambacho kinaweza kuleta impact kwenye ile jamii inayomzunguka mjasiriamali. So the fifth ones ni shake things up. There's no better way to get things outside the box than self-assigned to new and exciting projects outside the scope of daily activities. You know, majority of us tunapenda sana to work under comfort zones. Shapelekwa tu nje ya comfort zone yako, ya mazingira ambayo umeyazoea, vitu unavyofanya on daily basis, most of people become frustrated. So, but that's the way on how you can increase your innovative ideas. You can increase your thinking capability by shaking things up, moving outside of the box, moving outside of your comfort zone, moving outside of your familiar environment, so that you can experience new things. Unaweza ku experience vitu tofauti kabisa na ambavyo vinakuzunguka. Na hiyo to some extent, especially kama mjasiriamali, inamjenga sana kuja na kitu kipya ambacho hakiko katika mazingira yake. Na ndio maana ukiangalia, you can ask you, kwa nini wajasiriamali wengi hawajaenda shule? Wengi wanaofanya shughuli za ujasiriamali. Kwa nini? Can you give me answers, please?
Watu ambao hawajakwenda shule wana uwezo wa kurisk, ni risk taker, but watu wengi ambao wamesoma wanaogopa sana risk.
Okay. Well. Mwingine? Tuambia ambao hawajaenda shule ni risk taker. Sasa sisi wasomi, we can't take risk, right? Well.
Na kingine kwamba yani watu ambao hawajasoma wanaona kuna kitu wamekikosa ambacho kinaitwa shule. Unaona kama mtu aliyesoma kuna kitu anakipata kikubwa, kwa hiyo anahangaika, anaona kwa sababu sikusoma, kwa hiyo inamsababisha au entrepreneur. Wakati mtu aliyesoma inawezekana yupo katika position anapata kitu kidogo sana, na yule ambaye hajasoma anahisi mimi nimekosa shule, kwa hiyo lazima nipambane sana kwa sababu sina shule, sina uhakika wa mshahara wa mwisho wa mwezi, sijui security zile.
So that's what we talk about, to shake up things. They always shake up things. They move outside of their comfort zone. Mazingira yao waliyozoea. Kwa sikubaliana hili hali naoishi, sikubaliana haya mazingira. I want something to experience something new, the challenge, whatever. So whenever you move outside the box, una face some of the situations ambazo je kuziface, and then you find the solutions on how to succeed in those kind of situations in their lives. So that's another ways how these entrepreneurs as well wanaweza ku impact, or these entrepreneurs on how they can impact innovativeness or innovations within the firms. So the sixth point is avoiding putting themselves into a box. That's the reverse way of what we have previous talked, that the most successful innovative companies know that they are more than one, they are more than just their product and their service. Instead of only defining a company by what it sells, identify its assets and strategic skills as an added box. So that means we need to avoid putting themselves in the box. Whenever you are offering a product, you just based on the strengths or the uniqueness of your product. Or whenever you're offering a service, you just based on the strengths and the uniqueness of your service. But you have the other sides, ambao ni capital base, especially human resources base, ambao wale watu ni wa muhimu sana. They have some skills, unique skills, ambazo hazipatikani sehemu nyingine yote. Na hao pia ni part ya competitive advantage yako. How can you use those assets you have, especially those strategic skills, as added bonus to your firms or to your innovatives competitiveness and the likes. So unakuta taasisi nyingi ambazo zimefanikiwa sana hazibezi tu kwenye ile product unayooffer, lakini kinachowapa kiburi nyuma yao ni ile strategic skills walionayo, especially human capital walionayo. Kwa tuna watu ambao ni one of the best people in the world, na wanafanya kila namna ya kuweza ku retain kwenye taasisi. So those employees should not move away of their organizations as part, kwa wanajua mchango wao, especially on the part of innovations, on the part of coming up with new things, on improving the existing product and the likes. That's another point. So we can also talk by utilizing vacation times beyond the myriad of health benefit associated with taking vacations. Time away from work can actually make you more productive. Sijui hii inawezekana kwa context ya Kitanzania. Imekuwa ni ngumu sana kuitimiza. Kada tukiulizana hapa, ni wangapi wanaenda vacations? Usiguse chochote kinachohusiana na kazi yako kipindi ukiwa likizo. How many?
Tunaenda. Tupo.
Mpo kabisa. Ugusi yote
Tupo
kuhusiana
kabisa.
very few. You are one of its the own kind. Lakini ukiangalia majority
very few. Kuna baadhi ya kada wanaweza, lakini kuna baadhi ya kada hawawezi.
Yes, kuna kada hawawezi.
Kwanza simu zinazopigwa ukiwa likizo, unawasha na laptop.
That's what we talk about it. Those the kind of disturbance. Uko likizo, kuna a lot of disturbance, mara umeitwa kazini, mara umefanya nini. For we academicians inakuwa ni ngumu zaidi. I don't know. Sikumbuki mara yangu ya mwisho nimeenda likizo nikaspendi 28 days niko holiday. I don't remember. Ni ngumu sana.
Lakini mwalimu, ni haki ya mfanyakazi kuhakikisha kwa mwaka anaenda likizo siku 28 na uzime simu yako na upumzike. Ujifikirie utafanya nini baada ya kustaafu, ujiandae kustaafu.
Exactly.
Na wana encourage sana HR.
Exactly, Glass. What you are talking is right. Lakini ukiangalia na nature ya kazi, I can share with the situation that we have with academicians. Now we have two intake.
Lakini unakuja kwenye mtihani.
Yes. We have two intake. We have March and October. Hizo intake mbili zinatofautiana, ndio? Yes. Apati ya kufundisha, tuna kazi usupervise mwanafunzi, research, uzurie defense na whatever. Sasa ukiangalia na majukumu yote unashindwa kushtukia the whole year you are much more occupied. Na hizo ni academic related works. Ukiacha hizo, you have your personal development. I need to publish papers. 1. I need to write proposals to attract funds. 2. Hizo zimuhusu mwajiri. So ukiangalia hizo zote unaweza kukuta hata muda wa likizo unasema I can use maybe 2 weeks to write a paper, then I can publish a paper. So you find you're too busy. Such a ways inakuwa ni changamoto kwa kweli. Na kuna study moja ilishafanywa, although sikubaliani nao sana, kwamba if you can see most of academicians life watu ambao wako busy sana, kiasi kwamba hata maisha yao ya familia, social life inakuwa disturbed. Is that true?
Very true.
Very true, doctor.
Very true.
More than true, doctor. You are right.
Is it true? It's a study ambao niliangalia nikasema maybe this is true, I'm not sure.
Ni kweli, lakini ndo watu pekee wanaishi muda mrefu pia.
Wanaishi muda mrefu?
Kwa sababu wanakipa chakula cha ubongo. Kwa sababu wanasoma all the time.
Ukiwa mwalimu kuna vitu lazima uzisacrifice katika maisha.
Shida inakuja if you have a partner ambaye sio academicians, atakuelewa huko nyumbani with your business.
Inakuwa ni ngumu sana.
Mwelewani. Na ni ngumu.
Unakuwa una ndoa doctor, hapo unakuwa unapoteza uhusiano.
Unapoteza kabisa. Sasa maisha yao ni magumu kweli kweli. I don't know. So that's one of the situations that you are facing. So ukiangalia hii point ina changamoto zake. Changamoto zake tunaziona hapo kwamba on how can we utilize vacation times. Wenzetu katika nchi zilizoendelea wanaweza sana kwenye kitu. Na kienda likizo, simu zake hapatikani. Ana set email yake auto reply. If you send an emails, unapata reply automatic. I'm on vacations, so I'll be back at this area. Kama ni urgent issues, you can consult somewhere. Simple. Lakini kwetu kuwezekani, wewe ndio umeondoka na ndio ofisi ndio mwenyewe, you'll be called, njoo tutakulipa nauli ya kutoka likizo rudi kazini. So we have those. The other point is being a progressive leader. There's no better way to encourage innovations at workplace than to lead by examples. So innovations always start at the top leaders. That should be a role model for workplace passions, positive outlook, clear directions and visions, and of course, embracing changes. So and we know that innovation always comes from the top. hata kama imeanzia chini, inahitaji support from them. You can have some subordinates ambao much more innovative people, lakini they don't have support from the top. There's no innovations that will take place. So in such a way, these leaders should be progressive leaders, should lead by example, should show the ways on how innovation should take place in their lives. And the ninth point, by acting as entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur can be defined as someone who thinks like entrepreneurs. This I, not A. An entrepreneur can be defined as someone who thinks like entrepreneurs, but bring their ideas to the company where they are employed instead of launching their own businesses. So mazingira yako unayofanyia kazi kila siku. How can you improve the way of doing things? On how can you improve the processings of your daily activities and the likes? It's part of entrepreneurs instead of entrepreneurs. So by acting like entrepreneurs, that bringing things or changing the way things are done in your working place also can impact innovations in the firms. And that's all. Can I have a break? I feel like exhausted. Can we have a break like 10 minutes? Then
It's okay.
endelea kwenye hii part ya 3.33.
Okay, Doctor.
Analyze entrepreneurship as a competitive tools as part ya mwisho ya innovations and the firm competitiveness. So I'll be back around saa 12:20.
Okay, Doctor.
Noted, Doctor.
Welcome once again after a 10 minutes break. So continuing our discussions, I'll be discussing on impact of entrepreneur on economic development, innovations, as well as a theme competitiveness. So far, we have covered the two parts, that on the part of impact of entrepreneur on economic development, as well as impact of entrepreneur on innovations within the firms. Then we need to finish up the third part on the impact of entrepreneur on our competitiveness. That means we will analyze the entrepreneurships as a competitive tools. Entrepreneurship always serves as a powerful competitive tools by enabling business to innovate, adopt, and differentiate themselves in dynamic market, because it's much more associated with innovations, creativities, which always differentiate a product from one undertakings to a product of another undertakings, or a service offered by one undertakings to the ones offered by another undertakings. So through strategic or risky takings, innovations, and the proactive market engagement, we know that entrepreneurship fosters sustainable competitive advantage across various organizational contexts. And some analysis on how entrepreneurs contribute to competitive advantage can be analyzed based on the following point. One, entrepreneurship plays as a driver of competitive advantage. How? Entrepreneurship enhance competitive positionings by cultivating unique capability and strategic behavior. And those unique capabilities are much more associated with innovations, proactiveness, and the risk-taking aspect. Empirical research in Tanzania, wedding industry, demonstrated that entrepreneurial orientations, which is characterized by innovations, proactiveness, and the risk-takings, significantly influence competitive advantage, which in turn bolster firms' performance. And in this firm performance, we talk about on the part of financial performance as well as non-financial performance. And that's an evidence from various research. And tunaweza kuangalia kutokana na hiyo evidence kwamba jinsi gani hao wajasiriamali wana play part kama driver ya competitive advantage. The advantage tunaongelea katika hizo entrepreneurial orientations, which are much more characterized by those three dimensions of entrepreneurial. That's innovativeness, proactiveness, and risk-takings. Similarly, in various studies in Indonesia's culinary or cooking industries, SMEs as a strong entrepreneurial intentions which correlate positively with a competitive advantage in the overall company performance. And based on the resource-based view theory, which underscore entrepreneurship as a distinctive, intangible asset that's difficult to replicate. So tukiangalia kwenye hii theory ya resource-based view, na pia inaongelea jinsi gani ujasiriamali ni distinctive asset or ni asset ya kipekee sana ambao ni intangible asset, cannot be touched but it is there and it's very difficult to replicate, cannot be copied, cannot be introduced from one film to another. The way a certain films operate or succeed, those methodologies, those strategic ways cannot be copied and being applied to another organizations expecting that the success will be the same. So it differs kwa sababu kuna issues za cultural context as well as kuna issues za human capital or the skills that organizations possess and the likes. So hapa tunaweza kuangalia jinsi gani entrepreneurships ina play part as a driver of competitive advantage. That's one. Entrepreneurs' unique cognitive competence enable them to identify opportunities and integrate those opportunities into resources effectively, therefore establishing a foundations for sustained competitive advantage. That's one. The second ones, innovations and market orientations. We can talk on the impact of entrepreneurs on our firm competitiveness by combining these two elements, innovations and the market orientations. Kwa sababu these market orientations, entrepreneurial orientations comes from what we talk about strategic orientations. And the strategic orientations in our orientations which also talks about the competitive advantage in the firms. Na strategic orientations imegawanya katika makundi matatu. Tuna entrepreneurial orientations, market orientations, as well as learning orientations. So our entrepreneurships always foster innovations and a market responsiveness. That's which are essential for maintaining competitiveness. Market orientations talks about the market itself, ikiongelea kwenye customer orientations, as well as ikiongelea na upande wa pili wa marketing orientation. Inaunganisha hizo pati mbili. So various studies reveal that entrepreneurial market practice, that means emphasizing opportunity recognitions, innovations, and value creations, directly enhance competitive advantage, which subsequently leads to sustainable firms performance. And there are so much studies. Ukisoma literature, kuna study nyingi sana ambazo zinaunganisha entrepreneurial market practice. Ambazo entrepreneurial market practice tunaongelea mambo ya opportunity recognitions as part of marketing. Tunaongelea on the part of value creations as part of marketing practice. And how this kind of element within the marketing orientations direct influence competitive advantage of the firms. The unique asset that cannot be replicated that the firms can possess. And this in general subsequently leads to sustainable firm performance. Moreover, a market-oriented culture amplifies the impact of entrepreneurial initiatives. Market-oriented culture, we talk about those firms that are always adopting the market philosophy that a customer is everything. Their main issues or their main motives is to satisfy the customer needs and want first before anything is. So those market-oriented culture always amplify that, amplify the impact of entrepreneurial initiatives. That in order to satisfy customer needs and wants, first of all, you need to identify the customer needs and the wants. In identifications, you need to identify the opportunity. You need to be innovativeness, as well as you need to take a risk to some extent. So when top management exhibit entrepreneurial behavior, as well as cultivating a market-oriented culture, this can elevate both financial and the non-financial organizational performance as part of that. So those kind of firms, or top management, exhibit this entrepreneurial behavior, the behavior of innovativeness, the behavior of risk takings, as well as the behavior of creativity and the likes. So always wanaweza cultivate this what we talk about market-oriented culture. That means the organizations or the firms are always revolve around satisfying customer needs and the want first. And this always elevate both financial and the non-financial performance of the firms towards those kind of competitive advantage that the firms possess. The third ones, we talk about strategic risk-taking and trust. Strategic risk-taking is an integral of entrepreneurship. which enable our firms to navigate uncertainty and seize new opportunities. Because we know that risk takings within entrepreneurships, risk taking is a very important element in an entrepreneurial activities. So these strategic risk takings always, we term them as an integral part of entrepreneurships, which enable firms to navigate uncertainties as well as seize new opportunities within the market. So however, the success of such endeavors often hinge on internal trust, on how you trust your intuitions, on how you trust your feelings, on how you trust your internal capability and the likes. So research indicated that when employees trust leaderships, they are much more engaged and supportive of risk-taking behavior, leading to improved organization effectiveness and performance in general. So on the part of subordinates, the subordinates are the ones always implementing the organizational task, organizational objectives, organizational tasks. So whenever they're implementing those tasks or those objectives or those activities in the organizations, they need a support from the top management. And when it is that trust leadership between the top management and the subordinates, that means subordinates are believing on their leader that they are also supporting what they are doing. So this in most cases always result into a risk-taking behavior among the subordinates. And when those subordinates take risk, this always leads to improve the organization effectiveness and the performance in general. If those risk-taking behavior will lead to success in those kind of activities that the organizations is taking. So the fourth point, we talk on the part of entrepreneurships in informal economy as part of impact of entrepreneurs in a firm's competitiveness. So in developing economy, entrepreneurship is crucial for economic sustainability. A study on informal micro enterprise in Senegal found that entrepreneurial competence significantly predict economic performance. Kwamba tunaelewa kwamba ujasiriamali, competence za ujasiriamali zinaweza kupredict economic performance. And when we talk about entrepreneurial competence, we talk about those entrepreneurial pecs, ambapo tuliziongelea nyingi sana whenever we are discussing about entrepreneurial theories, from the psychological based theory, economic theories, as well as sociological theories and the ecological theories, ambapo tunaongelea pecs nyingi sana, zile sifa za mjasiriamali. Na sifa za mjasiriamali kwa kiasi kikubwa sana zina significant impact on economic performance of individuals and in general for the country at large. The fifth point, we talk about corporate entrepreneurships and innovations. Hapo tunaangalia kwenye upande wa informal, but also we can talk about the part of corporate. So within yes.
Sielewa vizuri hapo kwenye entrepreneur in informal economy, samani.
Okay. Thank you. So whenever we talk about entrepreneurship in informal economy, informal economy, tunaangalia those organizations or firms that are not recognized by the regulatory authorities. Tukiangalia kwa nchi yetu, informal economies, tunaweza kuangalia uchumi katika sekta isiyokuwa rasmi. Na sekta isiyokuwa rasmi tunaangalia zaidi watu wafanyabiashara wadogo wadogo wale ambao watambuliki na taasisi yoyote ile. Tukiongelea sana, tuna bezi kubwa sana ujasiriamali wadogo wadogo. Tunaweza kuangalia wale wa mama ntilies, machingas ambao wanatembeza vitu mtaani, wale wakina mama wanauza vitu masokoni na whatever. All those is part of informal economy. So tukiangalia how these entrepreneurships katika create competitiveness among them. Ndio maana tunaangalia some studies, especially study iliyofanyika Senegal, inatueleza kwamba entrepreneurial competence, hapo tunaangalia risk taking behavior, innovativeness, self-confidence, internal locus of control, motivations to succeed, internal motivations and the likes. So zinakuwa na significant impact on economic performance. So ukiangalia wengi ambao wamefanikiwa, hata wanao create kwenye informal economy, ukimwambia why did you succeed, ukimuuliza kwa nini ulifanikiwa, kwa nini umefikia hapa, anaweza kwambia nilianza hivi, nilikopa, nilianza na mtaji mdogo, lakini ndio nimefika katika situation hii. Na ukiangalia wengi, because they possess what we talk about entrepreneurial competence, wana hizi pecs ambazo nyingi zimeweza kuwasababishia kwamba hata kipato chao cha kiuchumi kimeweza kukua. Na hapa tunaweza kuangalia kwamba jinsi gani ujasiriamali unaweza kucreate competitiveness among individuals, hata kwa ambao wanaweki katika informal economy ambazo hazina support There's no regulations, there's no support from the government and the likes. Umeelewa?
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. We can talk also on the part of corporate entrepreneurships and innovations. So within established organizations, corporate entrepreneurship initiatives like internal ventures and the innovation project serves as a mechanism of achieving competitive advantage. So such activities always enable firms to adapt to market change and technological advancement, ensuring long-term competitiveness. So corporate entrepreneurship tunaangalia those well-established organizations. Makampuni makubwa sana tulionayo. We can talk about Ibaresa Group of Company, Mohamed Dewi, whatever. There are so many we can talk about, TBLs, Coca-Cola, whatever. Those are kind of corporate organization we have. So corporate entrepreneurship is on the part of innovations. So you find within these established organizations, they have this what we talk about corporate entrepreneurships initiatives, like internal ventures and innovations project. So there are so many projects going on within those kind of organizations, whatever. Ambazo nyingi ni project za innovations na whatever. Ambazo hizi zote zina serve as a mechanisms for achieving competitive advantage. So innovation project, most of them unakuta zimekuwa attached whether kwenye idara mbili. Kuna ambazo zina idara ya research and development na ambazo pia zina idara ya marketing. So hizi idara mbili mara nyingi unakuta zinafanya kazi kwa pamoja. Especially research and development ambao wanafanya utafiti, lakini wanahitaji input kutoka idara ya marketing ambao wanaweza kutambua what are those customer needs, wanahitaji nini, what are the problem customer experiencing, and what are the feedback from the customer concerning our existing product and the services. From those kind of input or feedback that they get, they can come out and develop or improve their offerings to such a ways that it will give them a competitive advantage compared to their competitors. So such activities always enable firms to adopt to market change, technological advancement, as well as ensuring long-term competitiveness. So conclusively, we can talk about entrepreneurship always functions as multifaceted competitive tools, driving innovations, strategic risk takings, and the market adaptability. By fostering a unique capability and the cultivating a proactive organizational culture, entrepreneurship always enables firms to achieve and sustain a competitive advantage in various economic contexts. So this is all about when we are talking about the impact of entrepreneurs on the part of a firm's competitiveness. Tumeziangalia katika kwa kutumia hizo those 5 points. Well, we have some alternatively.
Doctor.
So, yes.
Sorry. Nashindwa kuihusisha research yani serikali kutenga kuwekeza kwenye research. How does it relate with entrepreneur na tunaiunganisha vipi kwenye kwenye economic development? And for instance, in TANESCO kama serikali au kwenye wizara fulani, serikali ikitenga kifungu la research, wataenda kufanya research based on mambo yanayohusiana na wizara. Sasa nashindwa kuihusisha as contribution ya entrepreneur kwenye economic development and innovation of them.
Okay. Asante. Well, serikali kama serikali ina jukumu kubwa sana la kuweza kutengeneza mazingira rafiki kwa wajasiriamali kufanya shughuli zao. Mojawapo ikiwa ni tafiti. Na kupitia serikali ina taasisi zake. Ina taasisi za elimu ambazo jukumu mojawapo la taasisi yote ya elimu ni kufanya tafiti. Na sio tafiti za kielimu tu. Tafiti za jamii ambayo inatuzunguka. Lakini apart ya taasisi za elimu, kuna taasisi za tafiti specifically za tafiti za kila sekta. Tunazo nyingi sana ndani ya nchi. Sawa. Ambazo wao pia wanahusika kufanya tafiti katika sekta zinazohusu. So ukiangalia hizo taasisi, one way or another maybe wamekuwa na changamoto pia budget. Kwa sababu huwezi kufanya tafiti kwa kukaa mezani. Unatakiwa uende kwenye field. Ukaangalie tatizo ni nini. Kwa mfano tunaweza kuangalia chuo chetu cha IAA. Tunatoa program za masters. Na requirement ya mwanafunzi ya graduate masters lazima afanye tafiti. Sawa. Lakini inakuwa ni ngumu kwa sababu tafiti ambazo mwanafunzi anatakiwa afanye, anatakiwa finance mwenyewe mwanafunzi. Sasa kama mwanafunzi ana finance mwenyewe, ugumu unakuja, ni ngumu sasa chuo kuja na maeneo yake ambayo inataka mwanafunzi afanye tafiti. Na unaweza kukuta yale maeneo kidogo ni yana budget yake ni kubwa, especially tafiti ambazo mtu anatakiwa ende field, ambazo anatakiwa afanye qualitative study. Tuachane na quality. Quantity mara nyingi, especially kwa kutumia hizi cross sectional, imekuwa ni tafiti ambayo imekuwa questionable zaidi kuangalia uhalisia wake, kwa sababu hizo questionnaire mtu anaweza kaa mezani akajijazia mwenyewe then akafanya analysis. So kuna questionable side. So we need some insight from the respondent, tujue changamoto zinazozunguka, why this is a problem, na solution zilizopo zimeshindwa vipi kutatua changamoto zao na whatever. And then kutokana na hizo tafiti ndio pale tunaweza kuja sasa na namna ya kuweza kuzihusisha hizo industry, wajasiriamali ambao sasa wao wanatutengenezea solutions kutokana na tafiti ambazo zimefanywa na taasisi zinazohusiana na tafiti. Na hiyo inakuwa ni roles kubwa sana play part kwa kutenga budget kwa ajili ya tafiti, especially kupitia taasisi zake ambazo zina mandate kubwa sana ya kufanya tafiti. I can tell you example like China, kampuni kubwa ya Huawei ambao wanahusika na mambo ya kutengeneza simu na other electronics gadgets, wana collaboration kubwa sana na some of the best university in China. Na why do they collaborate? So wanatumia hizo taasisi, vyuo vikuu ambao ni the best, kufanya tafiti katika maeneo ambayo wao Huawei wanahitaji kuimprove. Wana support zile project za tafiti. So na wanaenda kufanya tafiti ni wanafunzi. So it's part of your final year research, go and do this. So wanafanya, then majibu yale chuo kama chuo kina share na kampuni husika. Kampuni inaenda kuimplement kutokana na findings za tafiti ambazo zimefanywa na wanafunzi. And that's how most developed countries katika nchi zilizoendelea wanashirikiana namna hiyo, ambapo tunasema kwamba ni public private partnerships. How do we partner together in order to improve the well-being of the society? Possibly nimekujibu swali lako.
Yes, nashukuru umenijibu.
Asante. Mwingine mwenye swali tafadhali? Anyone with a questions, guys? Well, let's continue. So we can also talk these things about the impact of entrepreneurships on economic development alternatively, kwa kuangalia some point ambazo nyingi tumeshaziongelea. Tumeongelea hii employing 15% time model, kwamba bado pia tunawezekana tukatimiza hizi zote tumeziongelea ambazo tunafanya summary. Tuiongelea embracing the reward expedient even failure, investing on research, sharing idea to innovation forums, shaking things up, avoiding putting themselves in one box, utilizing vacation times, being proactive, acting entrepreneurs, not ever. We talked about that. So the next part and the last part for these 30 topics, we're going to discuss on the approach to business entry. So how can you enter the market? Some market kuna a lot of restrictions for an entrepreneur to enter within the market. And some market, there are some strategies or approach that entrepreneurs can use in order to enter into business activities. So whenever we're talking about the approach to business entry, we talk based on the two views. We have those who talk about macro views and the micro views of entrepreneurships. So these are the two dynamics of entrepreneurships through framework approaches. So the given framework approach are termed as entrepreneurial school of thought. And entrepreneurial school of thoughts are described either macro view or micro view. And we know that when we talk about macro and we talk about micro, what it means. There are ones is very small and the one is small. So alternatively, there are 6 different school of thoughts which can be described or classified into macro and the micro view of entrepreneurships. The macro view is a view which presents a broad selection of factors relating to success or failure in existing entrepreneurial business in the external locus of control. And when we are discussing about entrepreneurial psychological theory, psychological based theory of entrepreneurships, tuliongelea part ya locus of control, ambao tukaangalia mojawapo ilikuwa ni internal locus of control, and we discussed that internal locus of control is within the internal capabilities and ability of an entrepreneur to succeed. And then we discussed about the external locus of control, where we say that external locus control is based on the fate, the environment, and the opportunity that exists within the environment itself. So whenever we talk about the macro view, is much more viewed as the present of broad selection of factors relating to success or failure in existing entrepreneurial business in the external locus of control. That's the environmental factors, not the within entrepreneurs themselves. So accordingly, it also includes external processes that are beyond the control of individual entrepreneurs. That is the perspective of external environment that cannot be controlled by entrepreneurs, and it consists of three different thoughts. The macro view is broken down into three subcategories or school of thought. Ya kwanza ni environmental factors. Kwenye environmental hapa tunaongelea social political factors which influence the development of entrepreneurship. Mojawapo ikiwa if a person experience positive feedback from family and friends, the desire to become entrepreneurial will grow. Hapo tunaongelea social political factor. Kwenye social tunaangalia family background, attachment, watu wanaomzunguka yule mjasiriamali. Kama akiweza kupata support, akapata positive feedback, especially kutoka katika familia, marafiki, desire yake ya kuwa mjasiriamali, ya kitu anachokifikiria au ya kitu anachoanza kukifanya inakuwa. Lakini kama akipata negative feedback, always wengi wanakata tamaa na wanaishia pale. So ya pili tunaweza kuangalia on the part of financial or capital. Based on the capital seeking process, view the entrepreneurial venture from financial management perspectives. That means the entire focus is placed on seeking capital for entrepreneurial ventures, on how entrepreneur can get a capital. Mjasiriamali akianza akatafuta mtaji, akutana na changamoto nyingi sana, a lot of drawbacks, a lot of processing, a lot of requirement kuweza kupata mtaji. Hata ile hali ya kutaka kuwa mjasiriamali inapotea. Lakini akiweza kupata support, akaonyeshwa njia ya kuweza kupata mtaji, hata kama akizi vigezo, lakini akapata yale maneno ya kumpa moyo on how anaweza kuproceed kufikia yale malengo anayotakiwa kufikia, always hata ile hali yake ya kuwa mjasiriamali inakuwa. Na ukiangalia wengi wanakuwa changamoto hii. Na katika financial capital view inakuwa na changamoto kubwa sana for most of them. The third one, we talk about displacement. Displacement describe external force that may influence the development of entrepreneurship. Example, people will only pursue entrepreneurship venture if they have no other alternatives. Example, job losses or difficult economic times that increase or decrease venture development. Sawa, na tunaweza kuangalia displacement hapa, kuna changamoto kubwa sana. Kuna mwingine labda ameachishwa kazi au hana kazi, au tukaangalia ndio hao tunawaita entrepreneurial necessity driven entrepreneurs ambao wamekuwa forced kwa sababu ya mazingira, wameingia kwenye ujasiriamali kwa sababu ya changamoto wanazokutana nazo kwenye jamii. Sio kwamba ilikuwa ni option kwao, ilikuwa ni option ya mwisho kabisa. So mara nyingi hawa pia wanakuwa na changamoto zaidi kwamba they don't take the business serious, they take as a business as part of the solutions to solve their current needs and the demands. So in such a ways, this displacement in address the following element. Ya kwanza, kuna ambao tunaita political displacement. Political displacement, this describe the situations in which government regulations limit certain industry in their scope, and thus individuals are forced to seek and create business in other industries. Kwa mtu inawezekana ana mawazo fulani, wazo zuri sana na kiujasiriamali, lakini akiangalia situations ya government regulations ambazo ni za nchi zina prohibit those kind of business to be conducted within the country premises. Na hiyo sasa inabidi enforce mtu akafikiria wazo lingine kutoka kwenye industry ambayo halikuwa na passion nayo, industry ambayo alikuwa ifikiri kwamba anaweza kufanya kile kitu, lakini anataka kujihusisha na ujasiriamali. Hiyo imekuwa displaced outside of the scopes due to political issues. Lakini kuna cultural displacement. This consider social groups that excluded from a certain professional due to their religions, sex, ethnic backgrounds and the like. Example, caste system in India. So tukiangalia India kuna hizi issue sana za caste systems, kwamba wanakuwa excluded kutokana na shughuli fulani au maeneo fulani au certain profession kwa sababu yeye ana religions fulani au yeye ana sex fulani au yeye anatoka mahala fulani. Kwa nchi yetu hatuna sana hizo case, lakini kwa nchi kama India na majirani zetu hapa Kenya ni some cases ambazo zina prevail sana kwa baadhi ya jamii. kwamba kuna baadhi ya professional huwezi kufanya kazi kama wewe sio una originality ya kutoka sehemu fulani. You are totally displaced. That's a cultural displacement. Na hiyo inaforce mtu kwenda kujihusisha na ujasiriamali akapate kipato cha kuweza kukidhi mahitaji yake, kwa sababu professional yake amesoma, lakini kutokana labda na religion yake, kutokana na sex yake, kutokana na ethnic background or other demographic factor, such a person cannot be absorbed within the formal job industries. So they are much more displaced to engage in alternative ways, that is entrepreneurships. So those three approaches under internal locus control, especially on the part of macro views. So ya tatu hapa tunaongelea economic displacement kama part ya displacement. Economic displacement consider job loss and recessions as initiating factor to entrepreneurships. Mtu ameachishwa kazi, hana kazi kabisa, so anaona kabisa njia nyepesi ya kuweza kupata kipato, kukidhi mahitaji yake ya muhimu na familia na whatever, inabidi ajihusishe kwenye shughuli mbalimbali za ujasiriamali. Haikuwa passion yake, haikuwa first options and whatever. It's noted that development of entrepreneurships depends on understanding this factor and designing strategies to overcome hurdles. So the micro view examining on the part or the other part, tunaangalia macro view. Tukija kwenye micro view, tunasema micro view examining factor that are specific to entrepreneurships and they can be controlled by the entrepreneurs. Hapa tunaangalia factor ambazo ziko ndani ya mjasiriamali mwenyewe. Hizo za macro ni kubwa ambazo ziko nje ya mjasiriamali, lakini micro are those within the entrepreneurs, na ambazo mjasiriamali mwenyewe ana nguvu za kuweza kuzicontrol. We talk about the micro view include the school of thought such as entrepreneurial trait, ambapo tunaongelea PECs, personal entrepreneurial competence. This describes the successful entrepreneurs based on their characteristics: achievement, creativity, determinations, self-confidence, risk takings, innovativeness, perseverance, and the likes and the likes and the likes. So all those zinakuwa na impact kubwa sana on how entrepreneur can succeed or on how entrepreneur can fail. The second one, we talk about venture opportunity. This focus on opportunity recognitions, development of concept, implementation of venture at the right times in the right market. So on how we recognize opportunity, we differ from individual to individuals. On how we develop our concept, we differ from individual to individuals, as well as on the part of implementations. So failure to do this in the right ways can result into failure of those entrepreneurial activities, as well as success on the other side can result into success on those entrepreneurial activities. So the third ones, under micro, we talk about strategic formulations. This focus on strategic plannings of the venture. Na hii mara nyingi inaongelewa sana kwamba failure to plans is planning to fail. So na wengi wajasiriamali wengi wadogo, hii inakuwa ni changamoto kubwa sana. Wengi katika mipango yao wanashindwa kupanga. It is strengthening on the micro through entrepreneurships. So especially, it analyzed the 6 different schools, describing further the micro view by Cotrans and Hodgetts in 1998. So this is school of thought kwenye upande wa strategic formulations waliongelea gritty personal schools, psychological characteristics schools, classical schools, management schools, leadership schools, and entrepreneurial schools. So we are not going to focus much more on this other school of thought, but we need also, the most important, tuelewe kwamba kuna strategic formulations as well as we have venture opportunity and entrepreneurial trait under the micro view school of thought on the part of those internal locus of control, on the part of approach to business entry, on the part of success or failure of entrepreneurial activities. So we can talk on the other side, tukiziangalia hizi zaidi, hizi za school of thought ambazo tumeongelea hapa kwenye greater personal schools, is na believe that entrepreneur are bonds. They are characterized by, among other qualities, high self-esteem, energy visions, and the physical attractiveness. However, it's recognized that traits do not entirely describe the entrepreneurial phenomenon. Hawa ni wale ambao wanaamini kwamba mjasiriamali ni wa kuzaliwa, kwamba anazaliwa na zile trait, anazaliwa na ule uwezo alionao, aleni sehemu yoyote. There's no way to learn or to improve, whichever the case, ambazo zinaangalia ni greater personal school of thought. Lakini apart from the greater personal school of thought, kuna psychological characteristics schools ambazo tuliziongelea kwenye psychological entrepreneurial based views. So entrepreneurs have a unique value and attitude, such as honesty, duty, responsibility, and ethical behavior, risk takings, prosperities, and the needs for achievement. It's believed that people who possess these characteristics are more likely to perform in entrepreneurial endeavors. So we have the classical school of thought, ambacho tuliongelea kwenye upande wa economic based view school of thought on the part of entrepreneurships. So the classical believe that innovation and creativity are key factors. Furthermore, actions such as creating opportunity are most important. This much more believed on those. From innovations and creativity are key factor for any success of entrepreneurships. So those people who can possess innovativeness skills and the creativity skills are much more likely to succeed in entrepreneurial journey. So on the part of management schools, this believe that entrepreneurships can be taught, and the functions and they can be taught, as well as the functions such as planning, organizing, coordinating, and the budgeting are important to managing entrepreneurial venture. So management school inaongelea those basic function of management, ambayo inaongelea kwamba mjasiriamali anaweza kufundishika darasani, akaingia darasani akafundishwa na kuwa mjasiriamali. Na inaongelea zaidi those basic function of management. Inaongelea issues of planning, organizing, coordinating, as well as budgeting, which are much more important to managing entrepreneurial venture. So leadership schools claim that entrepreneurial people is a people that's a leader and a manager. So these required skills are setting clear goals, mentoring, and creating opportunity for people to accomplish tasks. So pande leadership ambayo inaongelea kwamba mjasiriamali ni kiongozi. Mtu yote kiongozi anaweza kuwa mjasiriamali, anaweza kuwa manager na whatever. Na anakuwa na hizo leadership skills ambazo zinamsaidia kuweza kuset goals, kumentor wengine, create opportunity as to accomplish those goals. And then lastly tuna hii ambayo tunaongelea entrepreneurship schools of thought, ambayo ina remove due to lack of innovations in existing organizations. Kwa ndani ya taasisi kuna kosekana culture innovations. So people, they need to improve their ways of doing things. People need to improve on how they conduct their daily activities. So entrepreneuring largely depends on the management of the organizations, whether or not an opportunity is persuaded, and whether or not people have the qualifications and are given the freedom to exploit opportunity. Furthermore, the team aspects need to be strengthened in the process of entrepreneurship. So ambayo inahusu zaidi ujasiriamali ndani ya mazingira tunayofanya kazi, ujasiriamali ndani ya taasisi, kwamba watu lazima wapewe muda, wapewe fursa, wapewe nafasi ya kuwa innovative wenyewe, wapewe fursa ya kuinitiate wenyewe ili kuweza kuboresha mazingira ya kazi in the likes. So this is just a few school of thought ambazo zina support our first discussions on various why one entrepreneurs and succeed and the other and fails. Those approach as part of the approach to business entries and the likes. So now let's come to our last part on our ways to business entry, the starting point. There are different approaches to business entry. However, it depends on the starting point. The business entry, as well as the growing entry of that business to international market. Kwa sababu business entry ziko za aina nyingi. Kuna business entry katika starting point, pia kuna business entry katika growing point. Mtu anapo enter katika growing point na whatever. So there are various things to consider when starting a new businesses. Ya kwanza, you need to consider unique business idea. How the idea is unique. A super dope idea that actually works. So the starting point. You're going to the market. Kwenye soko ambalo kuna existing competitors, kwenye soko ambalo kuna existing business people, kwenye soko ambalo kuna existing entrepreneurs. How do you enter to such a market? And the competition is very high. So lazima uangalie uniqueness of the idea itself. So the second one is we talk about the gain required in knowledge or expertise. You have to take a look of research and the plannings. Gain required knowledge or expertise. You don't have any prior knowledge. You don't have any prior experience. And how will you tackle or will you face the market? So in these ways, kuna some ambao wanafanya some research as well as planning activities. Kuweza kuwa na some prior information about the market. Prior information on how things are conducted in the market and the likes. So the third one also is about to explore the market and demand for product and services. And this also going to be conducted through doing some research. Kuweza kujua the nature of the market. Is the market growing? Is the market declining or the market is stagnant? Kwa sababu kuna market ya baadhi ya product ambazo zimekuwa stagnant, hasikui tena. So that means needs and the demand ya the product imesimama. Lakini kuna market ambazo zina grow. kwamba mahitaji ya bidhaa yanakuwa kila uchwao, kila siku inavyokwenda. But we have some market as also the needs and the demand of the product is declining. So you need to know to explore the market, to understand the market, the competitiveness and the whatever, the nature of the market, as well as the demand for product and service in the market. This also can be done through research. So the fourth ones we talk about is start estimating the startup cost to start a new businesses. Na hapo ndio wajasiriamali wengi wanafeli pia. Una how to start with estimated cost. Wengine cost wanaanza na kubwa sana, wengine wana estimate. Lakini unapokuja kwenye implementation part, mara nyingi unaweza kukuta mambo sivyo kama ulivyokuwa unafikiria. So the fifth one is you have to identify the finance or capital needed to start a new business. Ukishafanya estimation ya cost, then ukiweza kucompare, ukiweza kuweka na some contingency plans na whatever, unaweza kuweza kuidentify the capital needed, kwamba mtaji unaohitaji sasa kuanza hii kazi na hitaji mtaji wa kiasi gani, and how am I going to face the market, and how am I going to implement my ideas and whatever. So and the last, you need to identify your competitors. You have to know who are your competitors and what they are doing for a long survival in the market, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how the competitors in market in terms of market share and the likes will be the market itself. So these are some points ambazo mjasiriamali katika starting point anatakiwa zijue kabla ya kuanzisha shughuli yoyote ya ujasiriamali. So in order also to identify the good locations for your business, hire the light and the skills manpower for business success. Hapa kwenye location pia ukiangalia wajasiriamali wengi katika mazingira yetu wana fail. How do they fail? People always find the cheap locations ambako hakuna customer kabisa. Unakuta location ambayo haina customer at all. Na tunaweza kuangalia serikali yetu ilifanya baadhi ya improvement especially kwenye maeneo mengi ambao tunaangalia kwamba kuna hawa informal business ambazo zina take place, especially this we talk about matching guys or matchingers, mama ntilie, mama lishe na whatever. Na tunaweza kuangalia kwamba kwa upande fulani baadhi ya maeneo yalijengwa masoko, na tukiona hayo masoko yaliyojengwa, masoko mengi yamejengwa nje mbali kidogo na makazi ya watu ambako kuna a lot of business activities na take place. Sasa ukijiuliza, and then you are forcing people to go to those markets, is it possible for them to go? Possibility ni ndogo. Ndio maana wengi yale masoko unaweza kukuta ni majengo tu, hakuna mjasiriamali hata mmoja, wote wameenda mjini ambako ndiko watu wanaweza kufika kwa urahisi. So business location inakuwa na impact kubwa sana, as well as hiring the light and the skilled manpower for business success. So we need also to mjasiriamali pia anatakiwa afanye a little bit investment in technology. Sio lazima aende kwenye teknolojia kubwa sana, the basic technology that anaweza ku afford. So office equipment as part, plant and machinery, or software required to monitor the business progress. Na wengi ukiwauliza, do they keep records? Wengi anakwambia sina. Kwa nini? Siwezi kuandika kila kitu kwenye daftari. Lakini sasa hivi kuna a lot of applications. Kuna baadhi ya watu wametengeneza application nzuri sana za kufanya records. Unachokiuza una enter yote kwenye system yako, hata kwenye simu yako, you just record everything that you are selling. And at the end of the day inakuletea some of the financial records, kwamba umeweza kupata kiasi gani, na whatever and things like that. Dreaming big using can we do attitude. Dreaming big by using can we do attitude in order to overcome challenge that may arise. So mjasiriamali pia anatakiwa na big dreams ya kutumia can we do attitude. Awe na attitude kwamba ninaweza kufanya kitu, I can't fail, ninaweza kufanya and I can succeed. So na hiyo mara nyingi inawasaidia kuweza overcome challenge ambazo zinaweza kuarise. Na tunaweza kuangalia Catherine Hans to 2024 identify 11 steps for starting the business venture. Na hizo steps ukisoma zaidi alielezea step nyingi sana, na zina includes determining your business concept, research your competitors and the market as a primary research and secondary research, as well as SWOT analysis. Akaongelea pia create your business plan, choose your business structure, whether it's limited cooperative companies or LLP or sole proprietorships or corporations or partnerships. So akaongelea pia register your business and get a license, that choose the business names, doing business akaongelea pia tax identification number kama pale unaenda kwa TRA kupata TINs. akaongelea business, bank account, uende benki, uwe na account kwa ajili ya biashara, apply for employer identification number na whatever. Kuna baadhi ya nchi ambapo unatakiwa na employer identification number kama unahitaji kuajiri watu na whatever, ili kuweza kulipa malipo yao kwa ajili ya mifuko ya jamii and the likes. So all those are a kind of approach or kind of steps that a business persons or entrepreneurs ambaye yuko katika startup point anatakiwa awe nazo ili aweze kusucceed to the market. Ziko nyingi sana. Ukisoma hizi zote ambazo zilielezwa na huyu Catherine Hanks, alizia kwa urefu zaidi mpaka mambo ya software na whatever, kucreate relevant content, get licensed online, especially kwa ambao pia wanafanya biashara ya online and the likes. So let's go to the second part on a ways of business entry, especially katika international entry. Hapa kwa tunaongelea starting point, especially katika domestic market. So kuna mjasiriamali anataka enter kwenye international entry, especially to the international market. Yes. Hello. Shabani, can you mute your mic, please? Shabani, thank you. So, ways of business entry in international market. This also will always refer to a business decisions, comprising choice of the target market, entry mode, market plan, and the control systems for business entry of the business product, service, or human or other resources into a foreign market. That means in a foreign country. Sharma and Armil 2004 defined entry model as a structural agreement that allows a firm to implement its product market strategy in a host country, either by carrying out only the marketing operations, that means through export model, or both productions and the market operations there by itself or in partnerships with others, contractual model, joint venture, or owned operations. So kuna aina mbili. Kuna baadhi ambapo mjasiriamali anaweza kuamua kwamba yeye anaenda kwenye entry kwenye foreign market through export model, anazalisha nchini kwake, anazalisha zile bidhaa nchini kwake, then ana export katika foreign market kwa ajili ya kwenda kuuza finished goods, finished product. That's one approach. Au mwingine anaweza kuwa na both productions and market operations, kwamba hata production process inaenda kufanyika katika foreign market. Anahamisha the plant itself, anakuwa na some subsidiary plant there kwa ajili ya kufanya productions and assembly in a foreign market. So hiyo inawezekana akawa na contractual model, akawa na mikataba ya cooperate katika foreign market, akawa na joint venture with the local firms in that foreign market, au akawa na own operations, akafungua industry yake katika foreign market. So selection of entry model fundamentally depends on the benefit, cost, and the required resources. Kwa inategemea which benefit, which model is much more beneficial kwa mjasiriamali, which model is less costly kwa mjasiriamali, as well as required resources. Sometimes unaweza kukuta raw materials in a foreign market is not available. Such a ways, that means an entrepreneur should produce within his or her home countries and then export to foreign market in the likes. So the main factor that have an effect on decision of entry model choice can be classified as external and internal factors. Una external na internal factor. The external factor include target country market factor, target country production factor, target country production factor, that's a repetitions, target country environmental factor, and the home country factors. Hizo ni external model factors. Kwa tukiangalia target country market factors, kwenye hiyo nchi anataka kwenda kupeleka bidhaa yake, what are those market factors ambazo zinaweza kusababisha whether awe aende kuuza zile bidhaa au siende kuuza zile bidhaa, as well as target country production factor. In terms of production process, production ziko nyingi sana tukiangalia availability of infrastructure itself, tukiangalia umeme na whatever, tukiangalia on the part of other capitals, human resources, taratibu zao zinasemaje, government regulations zinasemaje, we talk about environmental factors zinasemaje, and home country factors. On the other hand, the internal factor includes country product factor, internal country product factor, company resources commitment factor. Ndani ya nchi yake country product factor ni zipi, as well as country resource commitment factor, the company resource commitment factor. So the entry model is grouped into 3 categories ambazo tunaziita export based methods, non-equity methods, and equity methods. So tuangalie kwanza hizi export based methods. The main form of export based methods are indirect export and direct export. The strategic plan for export should be developed, which has 5 stages. Ya kwanza ni export awareness, export intentions, trial, evaluations, and acceptance to be successful in export activities. Cha kwanza lazima mjasiriamali ajiangalie, ajiassess awareness yake on the part of export activities, as well as intention yake ya kuweza kuexport, akaweza kufanya trial, then afanye evaluations, acceptance to be successful in export market, whatever. So under this export based methods, as I mentioned earlier, that there are 2 categorized into 2 forms, that's indirect export and direct export. Starting with the indirect export, it is the form of export where a company is not involved in international activities and they perform the activities through intermediaries. Ye afanye chochote kwenye international activities, ila intermediaries ambao hawa ni middlemen, wao ndio wanafanya exportations. Export intermediaries act as a vital or middleman's role of international businesses. In other words, they act as a linkage between organizations. It's much more associated with low risk level, control, and resources involvement compared to direct export model. Kwamba mfano tunaangalia nchi yetu kuna bidhaa nyingi sana inatoka China, lakini sio zile kampuni za China zinazozalisha zinaleta hiyo bidhaa Tanzania. No, we have our intermediaries, we have our wholesalers, we have our retailers ambao wanaenda kununua bidhaa China wanaileta Tanzania. So what they are doing there, it's indirect export. So Chinese companies are doing indirect export to Tanzania through intermediaries who are Tanzanians, who knows the regulations, government regulation of Tanzanians. So that's one. So direct export is an activities in which a business is involved in selling its own product to the foreign market directly. That means you are going to sell your product to a foreign market direct, not through intermediaries. Mjasiriamali mwenyewe anapeleka bidhaa zake kwenye soko la nje mwenyewe. Here the business needs sufficient experience, deep and expert knowledge for conducting market research, export documentations, and the marketing of the target market. In the direct export, business can perform either through its own channel or target market intermediaries. Kwa anapeleka mwenyewe, lakini anaweza kuuza kwa channel yake mwenyewe au aka target market intermediaries. Tunaweza kuangalia kama Dar es Salaam kuna baadhi ya malls, nasikia Chinese products, Chinese malls ambazo wa China wenyewe wanaleta bidhaa Dar es Salaam kuja kuwauzia watu wa Tanzania na whatever. Wametoa wenyewe China wameleta huku through their own intermediaries. Hapo anatumia market intermediaries. Lakini kama ni manufacturer ameleta mwenyewe na anakuwa na trading place ya kwake, anauza mwenyewe, pale anakuwa anatumia own channels. That's one on the part of export based methods. Pande wa pili ilikuwa ni non-equity methods, contractual entry. The main form under non-equity entries is licensing, franchising, and a strategic alliance. It's a types of strategic partnerships made in the form of contractual agreement, which transfer technology or know-how by a form of contract. So the contract always involve patent, design, trade secret, and a trademark as well as a copyright. So which makes up the majority of the international transactions. Kwamba kwa kutumia licensing, kwa kutumia franchising and strategic alliance, inaweza kuwa in terms of patent, inaweza kuwa in terms of designs ambazo contractual agreement ambazo zinakuwa zinatumika. Na unaweza kuangalia baadhi ya kampuni wanatumia hizi na whatever, patent, light, trademark, trade secret na whatever. So the contractual entry model is mainly used when a company product are intangible, and they are generally based on the cooperations between companies to manage transactions in the market. These types of entry model are mainly popular among the consumer service industries, especially kwenye consumer service industries, ambako wanatoa zaidi huduma. Mara nyingi wanatumia hizo licensing, strategic alliance, au wanatumia franchising. Tunaweza kuangalia baadhi ya makampuni kama Coca-Cola mara nyingi wanatumia franchising. Lakini unaweza kutumia makampuni ya ndege wanatumia strategic alliance. Unatoka labda New York unaenda Arusha, kuna international market here, kuna international airport. Dar es Salaam kuna international airport. So unaenda Dodoma ambako there is no international airport. That means unakata tiketi yako ya direct from New York to Dodoma. What they are doing, wao wana strategic alliance na Tanzania Airlines. So unapofika Dar es Salaam unabadilisha ndege, unapanda ndege yetu ya Tanzania Airlines na kupeleka moja kwa moja to your area of destination. So this requires long-term relationship between the company and generally they aim to transfer intangible assets such as knowledge or skills. In this approach, the capital investment of the company is at minimal level, which means keeping the risk and the cost in internationalization process. Kwamba capital yao na risk yao iko chini kwa sababu all other transactions katika foreign market zinafanywa na wale walioko kule ambao wameingia nao license or whether ni franchising or ni strategic alliance. We can see licensing. Licensing is an agreement for international activities in which permissions is given by the proprietor or owner or licensor to a foreign company, the licensee, in the form of contract to have the right of a property or supporting product, in some cases both of them. The licensee gives the compensations and advance payment and the percentage of sales as a royalties to the licensor in the exchange of intellectual property rights. So unaona makubaliano kati ya kampuni mama ambayo iko nchini kwake na kampuni subsidiary companies ambayo inakuwa ndani ya foreign market. Wanaingia kwenye licensing. Kwa labda nakuruhusu utumie logo yangu, utumie patent yangu, utumie trademark yangu, utumie copyright yangu kuzalisha the same kind of product, na hiyo product itauzwa nchini kwako, labda nchini kwako tu au na nchi za jirani katika quality plans. So wanatumia hizo, wanazalisha zile bidhaa, wanaenda kuuza katika nchi husika, and then yule aliyetoa hiyo kibali anakuwa analipwa in terms of royalties kwa kila percentage of sales, as well as kuna compensations kwa ambayo inalipwa on the part of intellectual property rights na whatever. However, compensation can also be in terms of product, know-how, or one-time payment. Licensing agreements are generally found in industry where fixed setup and the research costs are higher, such as industry equipment, defense, pharmaceutical and chemical industries. Mara nyingi kuna hizo licensing agreement katika sekta kama hizo, kwamba you cannot do research yourself, huwezi kufanya tafiti mwenyewe, gharama ni kubwa, investment ni kubwa na whatever, inabidi uingie mkataba na kampuni za nje ili uweze kuzalisha bidhaa kwa kutumia logo yao, kwa kutumia business name yao, kwa kutumia trade yao, kwa kutumia chapa yao and the likes. So main advantage of licensing that licensor do not have to make extra investment for the target market. Licensor hawezi kufanya extra investment kwenye foreign market. Licensing is a low cost entry model for internalizations. The company is not involved in no or low level of investment, which means low level of risk, whichever the case. The second one is the franchising. This is an agreement that the franchise get the right to perform business activities by the name of the trademark or for a franchisor instead of any patented technology. It has similar features with licensing, but the main difference is that franchising is given the right of the total business systems to the franchisee instead of giving the right of intellectual property rights. Kuna vitu viwili hapa. Hizi mbili mara nyingi watu wengi tunazichanganya. Tunapoangalia licensing, kwamba huyu licensing anatoa light ya intellectual property. Intellectual property inaweza kuwa ni patent, inaweza kuwa ni trademark, inaweza kuwa ni trade secret, inaweza kuwa ni copyright. Kwa hivyo utatumia logo yake. In terms of quality, it's not a big issue. Na maana tukiangalia hata nchini kwetu, tukiangalia labda kwenye textile industries, kuna mavazi sijui Nike, Reebok, sio hiyo Nike ya Marekani ambayo imetengeneza hiyo mavazi, sio hiyo. Lakini kuna kampuni za Kichina zilipewa licensing kutengeneza hizo bidhaa, na kuna requirement ambazo hizo bidhaa natakiwa wapeleke kwenye nchi third world countries, sisiende kwenye first world countries. So wanazalisha, wanatuletea sisi kwenye third world countries as part of licensing, na quality yake ni ya chini kukompea na quality inayozalishwa kwenye first world countries. So that's part of licensing. So wanatoa ile anatoa authority on the use of intellectual property. Kwenye franchising, hapa you give the light of the total business systems. They have to adhere to parent companies. Kwamba kila kitu anachokifanya lazima kiadhere na process or the quality of the parent company. Hatakiwi kubadilisha chochote. Tunaangalia kampuni kama Coca-Cola. Ukitest Coca-Cola iliyoko Tanzania, ukienda nchi nyingine yoyote, you find the taste is similar, the quality is similar. There's no difference between one bottle to other bottles. Of course, bei zinatofautiana kutokana na kipato cha nchi husika, kutokana na economic situation of the country. But in terms of quality, they are almost similar. So hiyo tunaongelea ni total business systems on the part of franchising, which is totally different to licensing. So in the franchising, the franchisee receive details business report to begin a business, which mainly includes more control and the guidance on the operational management, such as training of human forces. Franchising is more common in the industry such as hotel, car rental, and the fast food restaurants. Tukiangalia is KFC, McDonald's, and the likes. The common feature of this industry is that they mainly more mature and the service-based domestic industry, which have the brand equity. Therefore, those brands establish a presence with low level of direct investment, and they use standard marketing tools to develop a global brands and a worldwide image. The second ones. The third ones, tuliongelea ni strategic alliance. These are the agreement between our firms to do business together in which they go beyond normal company-to-company dealings, but fall short on a major or full partnerships. It's not about major, it's not about full partnerships, it's not about the acquisitions. So they are an important model. This is an important model for entry for both small and the multinational companies. They are partnerships of two or more companies that works in the same directions to achieve mutual strategic target. So strategic alliance company make their competitive advantage more sustainable by increasing power in the market, accessing new financial or human resources, and entering new international trades. So tunaangalia hizi mara nyingi inawezekana labda kuna ambaye ni manufacturer, labda ni mkulima. A small company involved in agriculture inaingia kwenye strategic alliance na big company involved in manufacturing. Kama wewe kilimo chako unacholima unamuuzia huyo manufacturing, not to other ways, kwa sababu mmeingia kwenye strategic alliance, mnategemeana. So unazalisha unamuuzia yeye, na whatever yeye anazalisha anaenda kuuza kwenye final consumer, whichever the case, as one of the way of strategic alliance. So these are effective tools for diffusions of technology, entering a target market, gaining knowledge about the leading company in the market, and bypassing government regulations. Mara nyingi wanatumia hizi kubypass those government regulations na whatever. So as the third ones hapo tuliangalia ni non-equity methods. Ya tatu ni equity methods or investment entry. So under equity method they are of two forms. Ya kwanza ni foreign direct investment, joint venture, and the merger and acquisitions. So the main form of this equity model is an investment entry, and it will occur when a company has a higher commitment in the market. So the company which have international experience in advance are more likely to invest in a war-only subsidiary. As the previous experience decreases, the risk of uncertainty and develop the operational risk in the international market. War-only subsidiary, kwamba yeye katika international market anakuja kumnunua yule mdogo aliyoko ndani ya nchi ambayo anataka kuinvest, anamnunua na kwa pati yake. So anaanza kuzalisha bidhaa kule ndani ya ile nchi na whatever. So the main characteristics of this investment entry mode is that direct investment in a production facilities, it's a direct investment in a production facility with a continuous improvement. Ya kwanza tumeongelea kwamba ni direct foreign direct investment FDIs, which is a most complicated entry model and is totally owned subsidiary of a company in international market. It's acceptable as FDI if a company takes share of at least 10% or more of the foreign companies. Kwamba hile FDI kwamba ni lazima yule awe na share kwa at least 10%. Huyo foreign anataka kuinvest, labda ni foreign anataka kuinvest Tanzania, lazima ndani ya kampuni ya Tanzania amiliki hisa at least 10% na kuendelea. Hapo tunaongea ni foreign direct investment, and later those kind of investment in terms of machinery, in terms of equipment, in terms of skills, technology and the likes. It is in these forms either purchasing an existing factory or setting up a completely new plant in a foreign country. Lakini hata kama set new plant hawezi kumiliki 100% shares. Ikimiliki 100% share inakuwa ni wholly-owned subsidiaries. So as FDI needs high level of resource investment, FDIs is much more riskier than other entry model, but the risk is positively correlated with the possibility of higher profit. In FDI, the company acquire more control over the asset by having the ownership. It's preferable by the company which prefer more control of the international investment. FDI is the most complex entry model and at the same times most leading entry model for international business. This is one of the most complete, na baadhi ya nchi wana discourage zaidi FDIs kwa wanaona kwamba faida yote inayopatikana inaenda katika foreign country, hairudi yabaki kwenye nchini kwao, kila kitu kinachofanyika kinafanyika kwenye zile nchi na hotel. FDI entry model has gained importance after World War II, and FDI has grown enormously in the past 30 years. Generally, government want to attract FDI to their country, and therefore they introduce laws and regulations which promote FDIs. Tukiangalia baadhi ya hata mabenki tulionayo ambao ni ya foreigners sio ya Kitanzania wametumia this kind of FDIs kuanzisha kama foreign direct investment in their rights. Joint venture is a form of business which involves creation of new business by two or more companies for common goals. It's a type of strategic alliance that has its management teams and a board of directors. Hapo ni joint venture, kila moja na management teams na board of directors kwake. It's a joint venture, both company participate actively in strategic management decisions. Joint venture can be managed in different ways. They can be joint management, where each company has one representative who report to the main company. The second way that each company has a primary responsibility. The last way is to hire a separate management teams to operate the joint ventures. Joint ventures mainly set for long-term relations. If the joint venture are successful, they result into shared learning, cost saving, and a wide product range. It's an effective entry model when a total owned subsidiary is not allowed by the target market registrations, such as restriction related to foreign investment. Kama unaweza kuta total owned, baadhi ya nchi wana discourage these total owned subsidiaries. So the only ways inabidi wafanye joint venture na local company katika nchi husika ambako wanaenda kuinvest. So it's also preferred when a company has limited resources, such as limited information about the target market, distribution channel, and the local culture. At the joint venture has two or more companies, the risk is reduced compared to a single company. However, conflict may also occur because a partner, different target. Commonly, partner aims to take more than half of the investment to be the major shareholder of the joint ventures. Na nani sasa atake more than half? That's where the conflict arises. The last one is merger and acquisitions. Acquisition is transfer ownership, and it's occur when a company buys another operating companies. Na hii tuliona case kubwa sana mwaka jana, kipindi kampuni ya sementi ya Simba ya Tanga inatangaza kwamba inanunuliwa na kampuni ya Twiga, ile ya Twiga ya sementi ya Twiga Dar es Salaam, kwamba wanafanya acquisitions, wanainunua jumla. So unaponunua jumla ndio kampuni mbili, those are the two biggest cement industry in the country. That means tunaondoa competition kwanza, then inakuwa monopolized. Alafu pia ukiangalia kwenye upande wa pili, ajira za wafanyakazi zinakuwaje. That means ikishanunuliwa jumla, inawezekana wafanyakazi pia wakachishwa kazi kwa sababu inakuwa ni subsidiary company au subsidiary plant ya Dar es Salaam ya Twiga Cement. Ilikuwa ni kesi kubwa sana, ilifika bungeni, ilijadiliwa. I don't know kama nini kilifikiwa baadaye, lakini it was one of the biggest issues in the country ambacho kinakuja. So the special form of acquisitions in which two companies merge to form a large company is called mega. Kwamba kampuni mbili zinakubaliana ziungane zitengeneze kampuni moja, hiyo tunaita ni mega. Zina merge into a single company. Mega can be classified as a subtypes of acquisitions. Mega have a similarly positive impact similar to joint ventures. The international megas are the best alternatives where social and the cultural value are significant difference in the target countries. Kwamba anajaribu kumerge na kampuni nyingine katika foreign countries na yeye kwa sababu ya difference ya social and the cultural aspect. The mega acquisitions may be horizontal, vertical or congruent. Vertically tunasema horizontal mega acquisitions are formed by company that are competitors in the same market. Wote katika level sawa, wana compete in the same marketplace, wana compete on the same customers and whatever. So horizontal mega may gain profit through strong market power and the cost efficiency. First, horizontal mega acquisitions are presumed to cut back the number of potential rivals, which in turn increase the market power of the partner companies. Second, literature indicates that if the large partner has a lower marginal cost, horizontal mega causes price increase. If the large partner have lower marginal cost, horizontal mega causes price increase. And in some cases, cost saving, which result in improvement in the performance of the partnership company. Kwa sababu mnapoungana wote, mna compete sawa, wote mpo kwenye soko, mnapoungana mnaweza kupanga bei ya bidhaa mnayotaka kwa sababu hakuna tena competition, mmeshakuwa watu wamoja na whatever. So third, horizontal mega acquisition as a result of resource employed and the physical asset sharing operating costs will be reduced, and in addition, generally employee reductions occur in related area of acquisitions. Na pia ni changamoto kwamba mkiungana wale wote, sababu ukishaungana that means resources especially on the physical asset, operating costs zinakuwa shared, zinakuwa reduced. Kama zinakuwa reduced, wanawezekana wakapunguza pia wafanyakazi na whatever. Na hiyo pia inaweza kuwa na changamoto kubwa sana, especially for the welfare of the employees. Lastly, related area acquisitions are less riskier than related mega and acquisitions. At the top management will be familiar with the industries. So related are much more riskier kwa sababu zote they know industries, they know how things are operating in the industry and whatever. That's on the part of horizontal mega. Lakini kwenye vertical mega and acquisition are formed by company which have a buyer-seller relationship. One is the buyer, one is the seller, or one is the manufacturer, one is the source of raw material. And therefore, they are accepted as a more complicated than horizontal mega acquisitions. These are the two kind of vertical. There are two kind of vertical mega, backward and the forward. When a company buy one of which supplier is called a backward vertical mega acquisitions. And when a company buy a company that sells its product, it's called a forward vertical mega and acquisitions. Backwards, manufacturer anapomnunua supplier raw material, hiyo inaitwa backward. Lakini manufacturer anapomnunua final seller au retailer or whatever, hapo inakuwa ni forward. However, vertical mega and acquisitions are seen as layer compared to horizontal mega or conglomerate because it's limited the choice for vertical mega and acquisitions. Vertical mega and acquisitions may enhance market access through synergy gains, but buyer and the seller relationship will strain the potential of synergies and the likes. And lastly, tunaongelea kwenye upande wa conglomerate. Conglomerate mega and acquisitions are made by company which are totally unrelated, which means that either they're in different geographical locations or their product or service are not competitors of each other. Two companies ambao compete chochote, they are not competing, providing different product or producing different product, then wana decide to join together. Na hivi tutaangalia some cases, tunaweza kuangalia some cases ya why they decide to join together. Conglomerate mega and acquisitions are made from companies that are producer of totally different product and the service, which means unconnected product market diversifications. Their contradictory view of literature about the impact of the diversifications on post of mega and acquisitions. Some of the research show that most of the companies do not benefit from diversifications, and the diversified company are valued less than if are separate. Between these kind related product market locations make the integration process very difficult for conglomerate mega and acquisitions, which causes them to lose their ability to generate synergies potential. So hii conglomerate tunaweza kuangalia mfano na huwa nawapa challenge sana hata wanafunzi wangu. Naambia mmoja anakuambia mimi nauza juice. Naambia unauza juice? Okay. What? Mwingine anasema yeye anauza bites. So these two complement mega negotiations. Wanazalisha two different product. Huyu unauza soft drink, huyu unauza bites. Lakini customer name target ni mmoja. So you can combine it together. Bringing juice on the other side, soft drink, bringing the bite on the other side, and then you build customer needs as one teams. Complement mega negotiations. Just that is simple example. So there are some advantages and disadvantages, merits and demerits of acquisitions of ongoing venture over the startup ones. Merit kwamba mtu akiacquire ongoing venture ambayo tayari ilisha operate kuliko startups. So faida mojawapo kwa business has already stock, existing customer base, walishakuwa na customer, the business has an established income streams, walishatengeneza faida, it has established the supplier with franchisings and established brands, especially for ongoing ventures compared to the startups. Lakini pia kuna hasara zake. It can require a significant amount of money. So in order to acquire those, unahitaji uwe na mtaji to start the new ones. You can inherit a poor public image from the previous owner. Pia kama ile biashara ilikuwa na image yake kwenye public ni mbaya, una inherit all those bad things about the business. You may not have much control, especially when purchasing a franchising. Na pia ukipurchase franchising, you don't have much control kwa sababu ina much more controlled with the ones ambao wameingia mkataba, especially the parent companies. It may not be as flexible as with starting your own business, and a conflict are common in partial acquisitions as well. So this all about our discussions for topic number 3. I know guys, mmechoka sana. The session has been a little bit length, but we are almost to the end for our third topic. Any questions so far? So if no questions, yes.
We're asking for Rossi and the question which you gave us.
Okay, I'm sharing with the notes and the questions right now. I wish you all the best for the remaining part of your semester. But if you have any problem, guys, you can reach out to me through my mobile phones. You can call me anytime. Ndo kazi lakini sio usiku. Inawezekana usiku amekoswa usingizi, akaamua mpigie mwalimu, ngoja nimpigie mwalimu usiku nimuulize swali. Hapana. Ndo kazi, you are allowed to call. Sawa.
Thank you,
so next week.
Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. Somani, nilikuwa naomba namba yako.
Doctor, mimi nilikuwa na special request.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes.
Naam, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes.
Levocatus ya pasi ya MPCM.
Karibu Levocatus.
Doctor, hali ya test ya entrepreneurship haikuwa nzuri sana.
Sijasaisha, ndo nimezichukua test jana.
Sawa, ila ilikuwa tight sana Doctor. Kwa hiyo vijana wako bana tuzingatie kwenye marking, maana tumejitahidi lakini kufanya kadri tulivyoweza.
Test ilikuwa tight.
Technical.
Niliuliza last session amkuniambia.
Yes.
Ilikuwa very tight.
Jamani mimi
ilikuwa mbaya sana.
Ilikuwa tight sana Doctor.
Test ni ndefu sana.
Usimgepeana nafasi tuzungumze moja moja.
Hello, naomba tusikilizane basi jamani.
Ongea mmoja
Ongea wote tunamchanganya daktari.
Tusikilizane basi. Tumsikilize Levocatus usiongee then nitaalao wengine tuongee.
Levocatus endelea.
Kwa hiyo Dr. mimi nakuomba sana kama mlezi wetu, kama mzazi, kutuangalia sana kwenye marking. Maana ukisema ukaze sana vijana wako wote tutapotea. Hali sio nzuri Doctor.
Poleni. Yes, at least you gave me the view. Sababu sijasaisha mtihani yote. So I was trying to find a way maybe I could start marking over the weekend. Okay, thank you. Nilichukua mitihani jana. I have all the exams now. So we'll start marking it over the weekend, possibly. So ilikuwa tight kumbe. I thought the test is simple kwa sababu yote yalikuja, lakini
test ilikuwa ndefu sana. Swala moja lilikuwa linabeba maswala 6.
Ilikuwa
ndefu. Swala moja linabeba maswala 6. Kwenye mitihani we have to go direct to that point.
But it was 2-hour exams.
Yes, and two questions, like
2 questions out of 3.
6 minutes. Yeah,
2 questions
but
out of
6.
3.
But 6 questions.
Huh?
It was so long. 6 questions by 2.
6 questions.
Samahani Dr. Nulize.
Yes,
Samahani Dr. Nulize. Hiyo mitihani uliopewa ni ya campus zote au ni campus ya Arusha peke yake? Kwa sababu unaweza kusema yes we consider. But
okay. Ndio maana imechelewa kufika. Nimeichukua jana.
Okay, Doctor. Thank you.
Dr. Nyuma zako Dr.
Unaomba?
Ninaombi. Nilikuwa naomba kama tunaweza tukafanya revision kidogo. Hiyo mtihani ni ngumu sana.
Poleni. Sasa revision nategemea mwenzangu ambaye ata take over next week. Kwa sababu tumebakiza topic mbili. Topic 4 and 5. Sio ndefu kama hizi tulizosoma mwanzoni. A little bit short. So nitajaribu kuongea naye kama atamaliza on times, then I will come back to do some revisions for you guys.
Muhimu yasiwe marefu tu maswala Doctor.
Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Yes, someone asked my mobile number. It is there on the chat, please. Otherwise, I wish you all the best. Mwenye changamoto,
Doctor, don't forget the assignment and notes.
Assignment namtumia siara sasa hivi. Maliza hii session sasa namtumia siara. So,
asante sana Doctor.
Okay, thank you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you, Doctor.
Bye. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Doctor.
Levo ajenge sanamu Levo. Siara huyo anajielewa sana. Ajenge sanamu huyo.
Levo